In the book Divorce Threatens Society's Security, the Arab thinker Ali Muhammad Al-Sharafa al-Hamadi proposed a marriage contract containing clauses that guarantee a decent life for the family and children based on affection and mercy. The clauses proposed by the thinker Ali al-Sharafa are as follows. First, both parties agree that the first party shall enter into a marriage contract with the second party, the purpose of which is to establish a bond for a shared life and to build a family based on a decent life filled with affection and mercy, raising children properly upon morality, virtue, belief in Allah and His Messenger, and loyalty and allegiance to the homeland. Second, the first party is committed to providing suitable housing and all necessary requirements for living, as well as bearing financial obligations in terms of securing housing necessities and providing subsistence requirements for both of them. Third, the first party is committed to spending on the children and providing what they need in terms of clothing, subsistence, and medical care in order to maintain the structure of a family dominated by affection and mercy. Fourth, both parties are committed to respecting each other, and neither party shall mistreat the other with any kind of abuse, whether by coercion, rebuking, threatening, physical hitting, or defaming the family of either party with any form of insult or abuse. Fifth, both parties are committed to not be led by their emotions or yielding to any emotional temptations, and to respect the contract between them, to maintain the continuity of marital life and complete the family's journey with care and affection. Sixth, both parties are committed to living together in kindness and righteousness toward one another, to upholding the limits of Allah as He commanded, and the first party is committed to providing the specific requirements for the second party, including clothing and personal belongings. Seventh, both parties are committed to adopting a method of affection and respect in the dialogue between them, refraining from resorting to defiance in speech, and each of them must restrain their anger, so that Shaitan does not come between them and destroy the family structure, which requires the continuity of companionship and raising children on the foundations of virtue and morals. Eighth, the second party is committed to fulfilling the marital rights of the first party and respecting his position in the family, as he is the one responsible for taking care of the children and protecting the family. Ninth, the second party is committed to obeying the husband in kindness and in what does not conflict with the limits of Allah, and to make herself a source of tranquility for her husband, as the Almighty said, "And of His signs is that He created for you from yourselves mates, that you may find tranquility in them, and He placed between you affection and mercy. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought. She shall also take care of his affairs regarding clothing and food, and look after him in case of illness." 10th, both parties are fully committed to forming a permanent partnership between them, aiming to build a family on sound foundations, and their intention in establishing a marital life must be permanent, based on affection, mercy, and loyalty. They shall call Allah to witness over themselves to achieve this noble goal, and they acknowledge that the preservation of the continuity of marital life by each of them is their shared responsibility to ensure the continuity of the family and to prevent it from displacement and fragmentation, God forbid. 11th, both parties are committed to avoiding suspicion toward one another and to addressing misunderstandings with mercy, affection, kindness, and righteousness, so they can overcome misunderstandings, ensuring that difficulty in mutual understanding does not pose a danger to the family, which could lead to the loss and homelessness of the children, and the psychological illnesses that might afflict them and lead them to ruin. Both parties shall bear all the negative consequences that will affect the children as a result of the selfishness of either party and the impossibility of understanding between them. 12th, the first party is committed to giving the second party all her rights from the dowry agreed upon between them, without any reduction. 13th, separation between them is not achieved if the first party says to the second party, "You are divorced," verbally. This utterance is considered idle talk from which no separation results, as it issued from the first party in a state of anger, exhaustion, psychological conditions, or commercial influences, such as losing money in his business. Since Allah the Almighty does not hold His servants accountable for idle talk, as the Almighty said, Allah will not impose blame upon you for what is meaningless in your oaths, but He will impose blame upon you for what you earned by shared oaths. So its expiation is the feeding of 10 needy people from the average of that which you feed your families, or their clothing, or the freeing of a slave. But whoever cannot find the means, then a fast of 3 days. That is the expiation for your oaths when you have sworn, but guard your oaths. Thus does Allah make clear to you His verses, that you may be grateful. Where Allah established a penalty for that by His saying in the previous verse, the feeding of 10 needy people from the average of that which you feed your families, or their clothing. 14th, in the event that living together becomes impossible and one of them desires to separate from the other, the one who has resolved to separate must notify the other party with a notice 4 months prior to the separation, clarifying the justifications and reasons that led them to make the decision of divorce. 15th, both parties shall continue to live in the same place or house during the notice period, which shall not be less than 4 months. As Allah the Almighty said, "You know not, perhaps Allah will bring about after that a different matter," during the notice period. 16th, after the expiration of the notice period, if no improvement has occurred in the marital relationship between them, the party who decided to separate shall apply to the Family Care Office, requesting the termination of the marriage contract, explaining therein the reasons and justifications for terminating the contract between them, along with a copy of the notice letter that was addressed to the concerned party, so that the office may offer advice to the spouses to achieve reconciliation between them, or to certify the termination of the marriage contract between them. 17th, in the event that the separation or divorce is certified, the first party is committed to the expenditures decreed in the divine legislation for the children during the breastfeeding period and their care. He is also committed to a monthly allowance for the wife, due to her dedication and full-time commitment to raising the children until they reach the age of maturity, and he shall continue to care for the children and fulfill the requirements of tuition fees, clothing, and full care for them.